Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we are skipping the usual high-level forecasts. We're going straight to the source.
Yep. We've got our hands on a really deep, kind of unfiltered look at an internal hiring script.
An internal script from Amazon for a senior automation engineer role in their finance operations. It's fascinating.
It really is. I mean, this thing is a goldmine. It lets us define exactly what senior means in automation right now.
Especially when you're dealing with, massive financial scale.
Exactly. This isn't just about scripting a few tasks. This is about engineering global resilient platforms.
So our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's pretty laser focused. For you, the listener, we're going to crack this script wide open. We want to pull out the non-negotiable technical skills, the sheer operational scale you need to be able to handle.
And the career path, what this role actually leads to.
Yes. We're drawing a technical line in the sand. This is what the next series step in intelligent automation engineering really looks like.
And you have to understand the context here because it immediately sets the stakes. This is Amazon's accounts receivable automation.
Which is not a small operation.
Not at all. I mean, think about it. You're processing millions of transactions daily. You're navigating this labyrinth of global compliance systems.
And the accuracy has to be perfect, non-negotiable.
Totally. The decisions an engineer makes in this role have, systemic global consequences. It's a huge deal.
Okay, so before we get into the tech stack and all that, let's just sit with that scale for a moment.
Yeah.
Finance operations automation.
Right.
When we say accounts receivable, or AR at this level, we're talking about an absolute operational beast.
It is. Think about the entire global supply chain. Inventory, customer payments, vendor payouts, it all flows through the AR ledger eventually.
The tolerance for error must be zero.
Effectively zero, yeah. In a regulated financial environment, you can't have mistakes. A bug in a normal customer app is, well, it's a bug. You fix it.
But here,
An error in an automated financial reconciliation process. For a company this size, that's a major audit risk. It's a compliance failure. That completely reframes the engineering challenge.
and the goal here is pretty radical. The source material actually says the team's mission is to re-engineer finance operations.
Re-engineer, not just automate.
Right. It's about moving away from these old manual processes towards brand new systems. Systems built on intelligent automation and data-driven decisions.
All on a cloud foundation, which is key. And that brings us to, I think, the most important distinction in the whole document.
The difference between task automation and platform-level automation.
Yes, they draw a very sharp line. They are telling candidates straight up, this is not task automation.
Let's unpack that for a second, because I think this is where a lot of mid-level engineers get, a bit stuck.
It's a common error.
Task automation is tactical. It's automating a specific series of steps you already know, like fill out this spreadsheet or move data from system A to system B. It's localized.
Right, it's scripting. But platform-level engineering is strategic. It's about the whole ecosystem, the resilient infrastructure that makes sure the automation works reliably at a global scale.
So you're talking about data governance, security.
Self-auditing controls, complex error handling, a system that can manage systemic failures, not just, one little process hiccup.
Right.
You're moving from being a developer of tools to an architect of infrastructure.
So if that's the pivot point from bot builder to system architect,
Yeah.
then the day-to-day work has to be completely different.
Oh, it is.
What does that scope actually look like?
Well, it starts with deep analysis. The engineer has to look at the existing finance workflows and find those automation opportunities that aren't obvious.
So you need some business sense.
You do, but the real meat of the role is translating that into the design of future state automation architectures.
So the deliverable isn't just the code, it's the architectural diagram, the blueprint for how it all works globally.
Precisely, and that's a huge shift in responsibility. This engineer is expected to take full ownership of production.
Full ownership, meaning what exactly?
Meaning you own the production issues, you do the hard root cause analysis, and you deliver the long-term systemic fixes. You don't hand it off. It's your system.
And on top of that, you're leading multiple initiatives at once. You're working with finance, with tech teams, with product stakeholders.
All in parallel. It takes serious technical skill, but also, real project and communication authority. You have to be able to lead.
And to do all that, the technology stack has to be pretty robust.
It has to be. The source is explicit. For orchestration and automation tasks, they're using UiPath, but that's really just the surface.
Right. If you stop there, you miss the whole engineering core of the job. They're heavily integrating AML and large language models, LLMs.
And that's where the intelligent part comes in. using models to, say, interpret an unstructured document or classify an invoice.
Or even suggest an optimal payment path based on a bunch of complex variables. The system's actually making financial choices.
It's not just processing data, yeah. And that whole intelligent layer has to live somewhere. That's the AWS service's backbone.
For integration, scalability.
And observability. Critical for finance. You're talking about using things like Lambda for serverless functions, S3 for storage, CloudWatch for that constant monitoring and auditing. It's non-negotiable.
I thought the clarification on AWS was really interesting, though.
What part?
They say you're not expected to be a hardcore AWS developer, which is probably a relief for a lot of people.
Sure.
But you have to understand cloud architecture, how
Yeah.
systems talk to each other, how to build for resilience, how to scale up when transaction volume spikes.
You have to be a user and architect of the cloud, not necessarily a builder of the cloud. It's a key distinction.
And tying it all together is the data layer. The
Mm.
source is, it's emphatic about this. The workflows are intensely data heavy.
Which is why SQL and PL SQL are listed as mandatory. Critical. With AI and LLMs in the mix, data integrity is absolutely everything.
Okay, so let's tackle the big identity question here, the one the source just addresses head on.
The finance versus tech question.
Exactly. If the role is focused on accounts receivable, shouldn't deep FinOps knowledge be the priority? The nuances of global tax compliance, invoice rules. Is this a finance role or a tech role?
And the source is, well, it's unequivocal. This is a deeply technical engineering role, full stop.
So the finance knowledge can be learned on the job.
It can be, and they expect you to learn it fast. But that core engineering foundation, thinking, designing, debugging, scaling systems, that's non-negotiable. Those skills take years to build. They're harder to teach than the specifics of Amazon's AR compliance rules.
And that is the signal for anyone aspiring to this level. The engineering mindset has to come first.
Absolutely.
So let's get into the specifics, the mandatory technical criteria, because this is the stuff that separates the mid-level practitioner from the senior architect.
This list is basically the mandate. They're not looking for generalists here.
Okay, first up, naturally, 2 to 3 years of strong automation experience, specifically in production environments. That makes sense.
Standard stuff for a senior role.
But then, right after that, they demand a solid understanding of object-oriented programming concepts, OOP. That's a huge pivot point.
It really is. And you have to ask, why OOP? Well, because platform-level systems are complex. They have to be maintained by multiple teams for years.
Right.
OOP gives you that structure: modularity, reusability, maintainability, things that low-code scripting just can't guarantee at that kind of scale. You're building core libraries that hundreds of other automations will depend on.
And that ties right into the next mandate: comfort with coding fundamentals.
It's the safety valve for the whole architecture. It means that when the packaged low-code tools hit a wall, and they always do, the engineer can drop into a language like Python or C# and build a custom performance solution.
And then the big one: data. The source puts so much emphasis here. A very strong foundation in SQL.
Very strong. They specify you need to be able to write, optimize, and troubleshoot complex SQL scripts completely independently.
I feel like this detail gets underestimated a lot. Why is SQL mastery so critical, especially if you have AI and LLMs doing some of the heavy lifting?
Because the AI is only as good as the data it gets. Garbage in, garbage out. When you're managing millions of financial transactions, a high-performance query isn't a nice-to-have. It's an essential engineering function.
If your query takes 30 seconds to run,
Your entire financial automation pipeline grinds to a halt. Mastery of indexes, joins, optimization, that ensures performance. And even more importantly, it guarantees auditability. Every single financial decision has to be traceable back to its data origin.
and SQL is the language of that origin, of that provenance.
It is. If you can't guarantee data integrity and query performance on your own, you can't own the platform's reliability. It's that simple.
And all of these foundational skills, OOP, coding, SQL, they all feed into the design focus.
The engineer has to have proven experience designing automations that are robust from the ground up.
Things like fault tolerance, comprehensive error handling, real-time monitoring.
And self-auditing controls. It's applying real software engineering principles to the automation space. Plus, being able to translate vague business requirements from finance into crystal clear technical specs.
Let's shift a bit to the structure of the role itself. What I found really interesting was how explicit they were about the work model.
You mean the individual contributor focus?
Yeah. The emphasis on ownership without the burden of people management.
Yes, it's defined very clearly as a senior individual contributor role, an IC, no people management. It's a specific, high-impact technical career path.
Which is perfect for an engineer who wants to have leverage through their expertise, not through managing a team.
Exactly. And their definition of full ownership is powerful. Ownership of the solutions, ownership of the technical decisions, which is huge autonomy, and ownership of production stability.
The script actually says it's for engineers who want impact without bureaucracy.
You lead through your technical authority, not by managing performance reviews. It's a great value proposition if you just want to solve hard technical problems.
So looking forward then, what are the career growth implications here? What's the real value an engineer gets from working at this specific intersection of tech and finance?
The value comes from what they build, the platforms themselves. You're building systems that scale globally, that manage critical financial functions.
You're at the convergence point.
Of four massive fields: enterprise automation, big data, AI, and cloud architecture. That combination is extremely rare and very, very valuable.
And that exposure just sets you up for major advancement.
It does. The source says this role is a direct prep path for principal-level automation roles. It leads toward intelligent automation architecture, even senior finance tech leadership. You're not just getting good at a tool, you're mastering the building blocks of mission-critical enterprise tech.
So this deep dive really gives us a crystal clear profile. A senior automation engineer today is someone who has moved beyond that repetitive RPA work.
Intentionally moved beyond it.
Right, and has strengthened their core engineering depth to take ownership of these huge global financial systems. The shift is from process replication to resilient system architecture.
And just to hammer it home, the four foundational pillars you need for that step are strong production automation experience, a deep understanding of OOP concepts, comfort with core coding fundamentals.
And non-negotiable advanced SQL mastery.
That's the list.
And for full context on the specific source we've been dissecting, the role was Job ID 3084825, located in Hyderabad. That level of specificity just underscores how rigorous these requirements really are.
It does, and it leaves me with sort of a final important question for you, the listener, to think about.
Go on.
The source material is all about building intelligent platforms with cutting-edge tools, right? AI and LLMs. Yet at the same time, it demands deep foundational skills in SQL and object-oriented programming.
A real tension there.
It is. So the question is, in this rush towards high-level AI tools, how critical will that low-level foundational mastery of data and code remain for true platform ownership, for reliability, and ultimately for financial compliance? That tension between the shiny new tools and the old-school foundations is the real challenge of next-generation automation.